You close.
You close your. Oh.
We're gonna sing you whatever you just said.
Oh.
You just do that.
Oh, I thought he was saying that closure the end part. Is it recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What am I supposed to say? Are you ready? Birthdays. I think that's all the announcements,
maybe a
right?
More.
Yeah. Are there a couple more? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all we have. Okay, listen. Did you all happen to read the title on what we're going to talk about today? Okay. Walking with a limp. And I guess she's like, what in the world? What are we going to do? Walking with a limp. Okay, let me tell you. Walking with a limp. As a nurse in my profession, we often want, after surgeries, we want you to get up, we want you to move around, we want you to not lay in the bed after a surgery because we want to prevent any type of pneumonia setting in. We want to get those lungs to working. And of course, amazingly, even if you've had any type of reconstructive bone surgeries, anything like that, we want you to get up and do a little movement as well too. Again, that helps to be able to prevent some of the clots that could be able to form. So, and all of that I'm saying is that even in the midst of an injury, we need you to get up and do some movement and doing some walking around. So what we want you to do and what we're going to talk about today is walking with a limp in all of your relationships. Walking with a limp when you've been hurt. Walking with a limp when you've been offended. Walking with a limp even to the point where you feel like, I'm not exactly sure if I even want to stand up, don't have a desire to stand up. But what we want to do is encourage you to be able to get up and walk in that relationship. We talk about so much about problems. We talk about problems in communication. We talk about problems dealing as far as with blended families. We talk about problems, and you hear about problems when you first get into a relationship. Don't talk too much. Don't nag. Don't squeeze the toothpaste in the middle. Make sure that you cook all the time. It's just all these don'ts. Don't do this and don't do that. But it's like, what are the things that you are supposed to do that are good, that will actually help keep your relationship reviving, keep your relationship on point, keep your relationship to a point where you keep it in balance, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Hey, Johnson's Tulsa family, we send love to you. Patrice, we saw you come on as well.
Hello,
Hi there.
love. How are you?
Stella. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so let me tell you this. Okay, let me start with this. I know for a fact I've had a lot of girlfriends to be able to say, okay, you know what? I've done this relationship thing. I'm a little bit tired. I'm a little bit worn. And I'm just going to take a break. I'm just going to take a break because I'm tired of being hurt. I'm tired of the inconsistencies. I'm tired. That's all you ever hear. That's what I'm tired of. But the thing is that you don't realize that you're going to, you're going to get yourself hurt in some type of relationship no matter what. So you cannot just stop in midstream. You cannot just say, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. Now, if there are some things that you need to really heal yourself from so that way you won't batter and bruise the other person, male or female, then yeah, take some time for that. But don't pull away just because you're saying, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not going to be hurt anymore. It is inevitable. You will be hurt. What it is, remember, I talked about this early in a earlier recording, is that what it is you choose who you're willing to be hurt by. You choose. It's because if you love them and you want that love to be unconditional, you choose who you're willing to be able to go through that process with, right?
I put on a post earlier this week that hurt and pain is the litmus of life. Hurt and pain is the litmus. Litmus is just a test. It's an indicator. And it was a statement that I had placed there because of a conversation I was having with someone, because they were somewhat discouraged because they were invested in their heart and their emotions in a relationship, and the relationship went sour. It didn't work out as they had hoped, and so there was pain. And what I was trying to do was encourage the person, the individual, to say, it's not a good thing. I'm not celebrating that you had hurt or pain, but when you do love and when you do live, it's indicative. You're going to experience pain, so you have to see it from the standpoint of you are living. You're living. The only people that don't feel pain and hurt are the deceased
Right. And I don't think nobody that be on here that's deceased. I'm just saying.
Are those that are under heavy medications, anesthesia. Hurt and pain, it comes with life.
Absolutely.
In life, you're going to have troubles. You're going to have trials. You're going to have difficulties. But you don't need to be defined or debilitated and limited by those experiences.
Right.
What you should go, and our spiritual mom, Stella Taylor, is on here. She's always say this. She's been saying this to me and us for about 26 years. She said, it's never meant to make you bitter. It's meant to make you better. And sometimes the things that we were experiencing, or I was experiencing in life, it was like a bunch of lemons to me, and vinegar. Squeezed lemon juice chased with vinegar shots, and then salt. So everything was just, almost everything was seeming to me, making me bitter on the inside. She said, no, it's to make you better. So looking at the difficulties from a different lens, and this is not just mind over matter, positive thinking, but it's true. Mm-hmm. It is true.
Right. And the thing is, when we talk about not to make you bitter, but to make you better, even in your losses, especially in your hurt and in your pain is what we're talking about. How is this supposed to make me better, Coretta? How can you tell me that? Well, I can tell you and walk you through of my own personal process. Everyone knows that has been following us with the Sigler series that I lost my mother 2015. And meaning she passed, went on to glory, and is dancing, shouting, all of that, and looking over us. But yet and still, even though she may be dancing happy and she has her wings, and that's great, but how I felt was like, well, I'm not happy and I'm frustrated and I wanted my mother back. And out of it, the pain was so intense to the fact that it just kind of stunted me. It paralyzed me at some points where I felt like I wasn't able to be me. And you can be that way even as far as in relationships. That process of stunting me, not having me to go forward, I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to talk to my friends. I didn't have anything to say. I did not want to live that life, if you understand what I'm saying. I just didn't want to do that anymore. I was over it. I was very brash as far as in my response, of course. And the thing is I'm a very forthright, blunt type person anyway. And so if you can only imagine when going through that process, it was just anything how I felt, it was just coming out because you had no filter anymore. And how is it that we give that to people that we're loving and that we love? And it wasn't necessarily to hurt them. I was going through such hurt and such pain. I know another thing as far as in our ministry, we would often hear hurting people hurt. Hurting people hurt. They do, and out of that, because I'm hurting and you don't realize it, but I was hurting other people around me, hurting my friends, hurting my husband, hurting my sons, hurting them because I was being withdrawn, pulling away because I didn't want to talk. And then when I was snapping, and I was irritable all the way. And I said, God, you've got to be able to heal this hurt. You got to heal. You got to give me some direction. What is it that I'm learning from this? If it's not to make me bitter, then show me something. Give me something else. He says, what I want you to understand is this. I want you to know how to be able to walk through. We never want to feel pain. We never want to feel the hurt. And the thing is, he said, I want you to see me in the midst of it. And I was like, I don't understand. See you in the midst of this? He said, I want to be that comforter. Okay, that's great. But right now, I am tearing. My heart is torn apart. How do I do that? He said that shows the level of love and the unconditional relationship that you had with your mother. And not even just that, it's not the fact that this was like some type of death penance, meaning to the point that it was something that he was trying to hurt me with. But in the event of it, he was showing like how much love that she had placed in me that I could now share to others. It was like, let me now be able to walk out what she's taught me. I had to learn that. I had to really understand and go through a process, the grieving process, allow myself to go through that. So even when you're losing in relationships or when you're hurting as far as in relationships, how do you walk that process? You're going to have to walk it out in your way. You're going to have to do that. No one can stop you. No one can be able to give you a shortcut to it at all. You're going to have to walk that through. But the thing is, you have to make sure that you want to get to the other end and the other side of it. I had to learn that. I had to learn how strong I really was. And that was something he was teaching me. God taught me how I was really, really strong, and how the fact that I could be able to encourage others in the midst of it. That's what he wanted me to do. He wanted me to keep walking even with the limp that I had. The limp that I had is that I had a loss. The limp that I had was the fact that I was hurting. The limp that I had felt like I didn't want to live. That was my limp. So I don't know what your limp is, but that was mine at that particular time. And I had to just continue to keep walking. Eventually, if you keep walking, you don't feel the hurt as much. And you tend to reflect back. You're like, now I can really bring up my mother and not bawling in tears and feeling like that he's taken something away from me, that he was just not fair. I don't think that way anymore. I had to really get an understanding on that.
I had just a thought when you were saying comfort others. The scripture says that the Spirit of God comforts us with a comfort so that we can be that same comfort to others. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, just taking a moment to acknowledge an elder that we love and served along with at the Potter's House Church, Laurencia Griffin. She passed and transitioned into eternity, eternal rest this week, and a lot of people love her family, and our hearts are with them, and our prayers are lifting them up now. Absolutely. For strength and courage. So when we've walked through our seasons of losing loved ones, because death is inevitable, the strength that we've gained in that by God is what we now give to others.
Right.
So we're able to pray for them. We're able to encourage them. And sometimes it's just listening, just being able to hear them with an empathetic, having walked it, having experienced it ear, and a heart of compassion.
Right.
Those are the things that you can look at hurt, that you gain strength. Because I too, my mom transitioned about 9 years ago, and I reflected back on this, and this is one thing I got strength out of. I had 44 years of solid love with her. I mean, it was divine, perfect love, mature love. That's what I had with her. That was my testimony. And I believe that what the Spirit of the Lord ministered to me, some people never had that experience.
Never at all.
Where I was depressed and angry and all of the processes, the steps that you go through with bereavement and grief, I had to look at it from a different perspective. And when you were talking just a moment ago, I was thinking about, because you initially at the top of the broadcast were saying about surgery.
Yes.
And how when you have your surgery, the post-operative treatment, you're hurting. You're hurting because of the procedure that was actually completed to help you. Maybe something had to be surgically removed or repaired. There's pain associated with it. Of course, you have your anesthesia, local or topical or general. But once it's done, you're in pain and you don't want to move. You just don't breathe too hard, don't move too hard. But the thing that's going to help you is movement.
Mm-hmm. Now, just to kind of transition, now I know that I brought that example up in reference for that process of grief and losing a loved one, a close friend, but also the same thing can be applied to in all of your relationships. Now, I want to ask you this. Has anyone ever come to you and talked to you and said, you know what, I am really having some issues on my job. I'm really having issues. I'm not getting along well with this particular coworker. I'm not getting along with my boss. I can't believe the demands that's being placed on me. Do you immediately tell them, girl, I need you to just quit? Quit your job. Quit your job now, because you know what? That just did not work. Just walk off. Just walk off now. But yet still, this is something that goes on in our own personal relationships. And if you're not going to tell them to walk off their job, why would I tell you to immediately, just because you're having an issue in your relationship, for you to just pack up your bags and just walk away from your marriage, walk away from your relationship, walk away from your courtship, just walk away from it? The thing is that it's going to take some walking out with the limp, because even in the midst of what you're walking through and what you're going through, it's going to take time to get through that process, to work through whatever issue it is. But in the midst of walking through that, you still got to remember a certain few keys. Keys, how do you get back? Have you ever had a fight or a disagreement with your spouse, friend, whichever, and you don't know, like, I don't know how we're going to get back where we can really laugh together, be together, want to touch one another, anything like that? Have you ever had an argument or a disagreement where it really went too far and you don't know how to return back from it? Oh, also, it's just me. So it's just It's just us. It's just, oh, okay, it's just us. Well, let me tell you.
Nobody else is in.
Okay, nobody else is. But you know what I'm saying? Just respond. Good. So that's never occurred. Well, it has happened as far as with us, where you can take a relation, or you can take a disagreement or an argument too far. Okay, and take it too far, and you don't know how to retrieve. You don't know how to get it back. How do you do that? So instead of just always just focusing just on the issue and the problem, yes, you're going to work that out. But some of the things you need to do is, let's flip it and focus on something positive. I guess you say, I'm mad at him, or I'm mad at her, or I'm upset. I'm not feeling too cool with you. And now you want me to think on something that's nice, think on something that's really fun or whatever. Yes, I really do. That is how you start back the process. Because the thing is, have you ever heard it called breaking the ice? Who's going to break the ice? Is it going to be me? Is it going to be him? Who's going to choose? Why not let it be you? That's what I'm stating, is that at some point you've got to be able to break the ice and get it back so that you can be able to heal and move past that point. First and foremost, supporting each other. If your significant other has gotten an award or did something wonderful or got acknowledged, let you be the first person to acknowledge as well too. Let you be the first person to be able to say, you know what, congratulations. I'm really glad that you won that. That was honorable. I'm proud of you for it. You know, we tend to forget some of the basic things. You know, when in dating, you used to give compliments all day long. Oh, your hair is so pretty. I love your lipstick. And, you know, I like those jeans you're wearing or whatever. When was the last time you got a compliment? When was the last time your significant other acknowledged you? Anything like that. But when you're dating, you give each other those extras. You're more patient. You're more understanding. You're more forgiving. All of those things come when you're dating, but yet still they pull back when you're married. And I wonder why. Are you taking each other for granted? Is it that the fact that you've gotten so common to the place that you feel like they don't need it? You know? Those are the things that you have to start looking at as far as in your relationship. What have I just really started taking for granted in them? And you want to know why you keep going in circles with the same argument or the same situation, but you won't get back and realize that they're not perfect. They do make mistakes. They're not infallible. So give them that opportunity to make some mistakes, but give them an opportunity to actually reprieve and be able to ask forgiveness for it, or to the point of just correcting it. Just give them an opportunity to correct it and make it right. So start off by first saying, you know what? Talking. You know what? We've taken it too far. How about that? You know what? We took it far. We really started hitting below the belt. And what I want to do is I want for us to get back. I want to get put to a point where we can start listening to each other. Just open up the stream of communication. I
was thinking, and this has been on my heart all week long, there's a scripture that says a house, it was actually two, a house divided against itself can't stand. And then the other is, how can two walk together except they be in agreement? And those have just been resting on my heart all this week in my meditation and my thought and prayer and all of that. So we know the text of a house divided against itself is where people were saying that Jesus wasn't casting out demons in the authority of who he was, the kingdom of God, but that he was doing it because he was of Satan. And he's saying basically Satan can't cast himself out. And a further understanding for me practically is like, if I'm sitting here, but my mind is somewhere else, and my soul and all of that is somewhere else, and it's not all together in agreement. I'm not in agreement with myself. I can't stand. I can't stand and move. You know, if we're in marriage and relationship and we're not in agreement, if we're divided, our focus, we can have difference and differing opinions, but we have to come to a place of agreement so that we can stand on whatever that principle is. And we bring the strength of our differences to move to a common goal. But if we can't do that, we can't stand. And I saw a comment that Patrice put on, and she said, pride gets you stuck. It does. And pride oftentimes manifests itself in this way, that I'm right and you're wrong. I'm right and you're wrong. You're right and that other person is wrong. Well, if that is the case, if you realize that you're right and they're wrong, give up the notion and give up the position of God, of having to prove yourself right.
Right.
You know, we're supposed to submit to one another, and I think that's a critical point in it. To walk in agreement, we have to mutually submit to one another in fear of God. And it says, how can two walk together except they be in agreement? And if I'm bringing my thing from others, then it's no longer two. It's a group thing. It's a group thing. Can you imagine if we were all trying to go in different directions? There's 8 different people, like an octopus. In marriage, it's 2 becoming 1. You can't have multiples. I know some religious groups and cultures, they believe in polygamy, but we are of a monogamous understanding.
Absolutely.
That there's 2, the 2 of us in one marriage with one God. So if you have multiples coming in, you can't be in agreement. 2 can't walk together when you got all that extra stuff.
But you're not even going to be able to be in agreement unless you are able to drop the pride, to be able to communicate. And I know it goes right back to, it's like, well, we're communicating, and the issue about communicating. But the one thing about it is that if you are so at angst with each other, who's going to actually wave the flag and be able to say, you know what, we got to get to a point and got to get to a common ground to know that, hey, this is what we both want. By us walking around in the house, not talking, being in separate rooms, doing whatever the case may be, and if we're never communing together, never trying to connect, what will ever change? What will change? Nothing will ever change. It's going to be consistently the same, and you'll be completely both miserable, and that's not living. That's not living at all. So why don't we start back with the basics of when you were actually met each other, when you actually start dating? Some of those same principles will apply for this. Meaning, to the point, is be appreciative. Be appreciative of each other. When is the last time you say, you know what, I appreciate when you do this. I appreciate when you do this. This is something that's important for me. You know, I love it when you do this. You know, do we ever compliment each other anymore? But yet still, we'll compliment everyone else. We'll compliment everyone on the job. And them folks don't care about you on your job. I'm just trying to tell you. I'm like, you better not get it twisted. Those are professional relationships, and they are trying to climb a ladder, okay? And sometimes they'll climb on top of your head. But you'll give all of your time and all of your attention and all of your efforts in that manner, but yet and still you're not doing it on your end. So you've got to be able to have some balance in that. That's all I'm saying. You've got to have balance in that. Yes, you got to be respectful. You got to do what you need to do on your job. You've got to do that. But what I'm saying is, don't give more to those people, to the intimate part of those people, that you won't even give to your own home. That's all. You know, that little stuff.
Hey, LaTanya, we send big love to the Blairs. We love you all deeply. Every time I see your name, I feel like I can sing, just so you know.
Hey.
Give our love to Pastor Blair.
Love you.
I was thinking when you were saying that, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, I call it the love book. Many do call it that as well. And it just gives this prescription or the definition of love. Love is patient. Love is kind. And as I was thinking that while you were talking, it made me think of being a friend.
Yes.
And I think it's critical when you start out in relationships to develop your phileo, your friendship, your Philadelphia love, your brotherly love. Just friends. Just start out as friends, so that when you have life happening and circumstances happening, you can always go back to just your friend.
Right.
Your friend. And how you treat a friend. And I believe in the marriage relationship, we should be the closer friends than any other friends.
Absolutely.
So that when the difficult times come, and they will come, you treat the person like you would your friend. And sometimes you have to do that from your mind until your heart and your mind can agree.
Okay, but listen to this. When he said you want to treat them as your friend, and because they are your friend. But listen to this. Me and my girlfriends, we say this all the time. Have you ever seen someone doing something kind of crazy or whatever, or wearing something kind of crazy, and we'll say, okay, do they have any friends? Like, do they really have any friends? Because do they have any friends that will actually tell them, girl, don't wear that, or you need to do this? Directing and guiding, meaning like who's kind of checking your stuff. The problem of it is not the fact that they don't have a friend, but are you willing to hear from your friend? Now that's something I'll be able to focus on as well, is that not allowing other people to determine and make that decision for you on how to be able to manage your own relationship. They can't. I understand about getting advice, and especially when you're stumped, you don't know what to be able to do. But when it comes to the point where it's consistently where that's your focus is only on outside opinions or direction, you've got to rethink that. I'm telling you, God will give you direction. God will give you wisdom on how to handle it, what to do, and what to say, and how to say it. Because there's sometimes there has to be certain things to be able to wake you up within your relationship. There will be times that's going to be wake-up calls. So I would rather you deal with them one-on-one and not feel as though everybody has to know your business. Everybody has to be engaged into it.
Right.
No, you don't want that.
I look at it like this. When you have a support system, that's wonderful, and I think we all should have that, but that's what they're for, support. You don't take the support and live off the support.
Right.
The support is, like Sweetie was talking about, she's got some girlfriends that's like, girl, you crazy, you such and such, you ain't gonna do this. They're telling you the truth, that they know you that way. But if they're having their life issues and their life challenges, that may not be the place that you can get the objective support, because they're dealing with their own stuff. And that could flow over into the counsel that they're giving you. The critical place and the primary place, like when Mom said, you eat at home. You don't go to the neighbor's house and your friend's house to eat.
But you used to eat everywhere, though.
Why you gotta put my stuff out?
But
like
you
that?
did. They had to kick you out. You was always eating everywhere.
I was the kid in the neighborhood. There was so many. Miss Bell, I think her name was Lila Bell or Lita Bell. She had a lot of kids too. But that woman could sure enough cook. My mom could cook well as well. But I just used to go to their house and I ate at everybody's house.
But then let our boys try to go to somebody's house. No, you need to come home. Yeah. You eat at home.
You see how she puts so much of our stuff out here. She really does. She just puts us out there. So we love you. I guess that's why we do it. Hey, Luann, happy belated birthday. We didn't get a chance to really reach out to you like we wanted to. But the thing is, walking together, it's movement. Don't become stagnant. When you become stagnant, like a body of water, it's only because freshness is not coming in. And when it becomes stagnant, it begins to smell. And when it becomes stagnant, things can't live in stagnation. They die. And some of you just need to let it out. Just let it out, forego it. Forgiveness means to let it go. And I was thinking earlier, this is the point that I lost. I was reading your point there with Brett. We don't oftentimes look at ourselves from God's perspective. And it's critical that we do that. We've got to look at ourselves through God's eyes, where God knew that we couldn't do it. He knew we couldn't do it. No matter how much we tried, we would always fall short. So what he did is he did it himself and extended himself to us, so that we can do it now with him through us. So that as we're walking this journey and we're experiencing life and issues occur. We've got to see ourselves from God's perspective, receive from him the strength, receive from him the help, receive from him the wisdom, receive from him the forgiveness, so that we can walk. And I was thinking about the Apostle Paul. I know you're going to jump in for a second. He said he sought God 3 times for this thorn that was in his flesh, so that it would change, so that it would lead.
Are you trying to call me a thorn?
I did not call you a thorn. You see how...
I'm just trying to see where you're going with the scripture.
I'm talking about the scripture was talking about the situation.
The situation.
It wasn't. I'm not talking about. No, you are my rib. You're my good.
Yeah, I think you're trying to say something about the thorn, but I'm not your thorn. I'll get you. Anyway,
the thorn is a situation. Let me just say it like this.
Be clear.
It's a circumstance, a situation, a condition that is causing discomfort. It's causing pain. It's causing you to not be able to function as you normally would. And so he said he sought God. He went to God 3 times asking him to change it. And this is my perspective of that. Perhaps God wasn't so interested in the situation changing as much as he purposed to change him through the situation.
And the thing, and that's where the point is, looking at changing yourself, your position, your thought process, changing yourself, because in changing you, Can't you see that's going to change your situation? It will change the problem. It will change the limp. Do you get it? You have to focus. We say at work a lot of time, what lens am I looking at the situation in? Am I looking at higher level, lower level? What level? What lens am I looking at it? What view am I looking at this situation or this problem or this issue? So you've got to be able to consider how you're looking at it. Yes, we're all going to deal with issues within our relationships, friendships, work relationships, marriages, all of those, courtships. We're going to deal with issues. Trust and believe you're gonna deal with it. If you ain't dealing with it today, baby, keep on living and breathing. You're gonna endure some of those things, but it's not necessarily the issues that we're gonna focus on, but it's how you're going to walk that process out, and also how you're going to actually not focus so much on the problem or the issue, but let's purposefully look at some of the things that are positive. Look at some of the things that are positive in your relationship sometimes. Take a moment. So this weekend, we want to just drop you just a nugget and saying, continue to walk even with the limp that you have. Didn't say you were perfect, didn't say your relationship was perfect, but God stated what you're doing and what you're enduring is perfect for Him to be able to withstand, and perfect for Him to give you guidance, and perfect for the love that you're going to extend one to another. Just always remember that. So if I can leave you anything today, walk with the limp. Don't focus on the limp. Walk in love. Focus on what's positive in your relationship. Do that today. Do something different today within your relationship. No matter where it is that you have that limp in, what type of relationship, focus on something positive, okay? That's what we're going to leave you. We're not going to keep you long. So please don't forget, we're going to come back. I promise you, we'll be back next Saturday at 2 o'clock. We will be back, okay?
Let your limp be your swag. You know how you see people when they got that little pimp walk and everything? Your limp is causing you to do that. Let it be a positive thing. How you respond to it? Respond to it in a positive way.
Yes.
Don't let it take all your energy. Don't let it take all your focus. Because oftentimes, those are just little foxes. And you're allowing them to destroy the whole vine. Just pimp with your limp.
Absolutely. Pimp with your limp. I love it. I love you all. Have a wonderful Saturday. Happy birthday, everyone. Happy birthday, LaMonica. Happy birthday, Kevin. Happy birthday, Rashonda. Everybody, we love you. Have a wonderful, blessed birthday. Love you more. Mwah.